I'm on day 57 out of my 90-day spending fast. So far, I've saved $1,927 just by doing little things. Like I haven't gotten any clothes, we haven't done any takeout or restaurants. Been trying to really cut down on electricity. As the price of oil has gone up a lot recently, we even stopped getting that. We're just using our pellet stove to keep warm and then taking cold showers, which are actually really good for you anyways. All right, so that might have actually been a bit of a joke. However, we did run out of oil, but it's because I'm dumb and I forgot to check the oil gauge. And I am actually taking cold showers, but that's because I'm training for a polar plunge this weekend. However, minimalism and doing less has really led to a lot of positive things in my life, including raising my income, lowering my expenses, and it even helps with investing. So these are 5 simple minimalist habits that have really improved my finances and kind of made me wealthy. Productive hobbies. So when I started working, I was earning like $10 an hour, and then eventually after a couple of years, I worked my way up into the 20s. But like until very recently, I never made more than like the median income. So in order to grow my income so I could actually start saving and in turn take that money and start investing, I needed to earn more money. And while I don't actually care about money all that much and buying more and better stuff, what I did care about was the freedom that money can actually buy you. So since I wasn't earning that much and didn't have that many skills, I noticed that it was what I did in my free time that really added a lot to my life. And I really think that this has added a lot to my life. And I don't want to sound like hustle culture, doing something constantly, but I took a lot of things that I was super excited about and tried to monetize them. I know a lot of people say that you shouldn't follow your passions or stuff like that. But for me, I have found a lot of wealth in a couple of different areas of my life, both monetarily and like just loving what I do every single day, which I think is worth more than money. And that was by finding things that I was truly excited and passionate about and trying to monetize them. I have a friend right now who is excited about music. They're very good at it, and that's what they love to do in their free time. So while they're working, they're building a business around that music, and then hopefully that can turn into their full-time thing so they can do what they love to do for the rest of their lives and get paid to do it. I think that's something that a lot of people don't think is possible, and that's kind of what I did with YouTube, where I was so excited about finances and bettering myself that I just wanted to share it. And then it turns out I love filmmaking and I wanted to share that. So I think it's what you do in your free time, what you do in the nights and weekends that will determine the rest of your life. A lot of people won't try stuff because they're tired at their day job, but if you ever want to leave that day job, you need to do something else. If you ever want to start investing, you need to make more money so that you can save more money and eventually retire sooner. So for me, I've been really working on finding hobbies that are somewhat productive at least. I play pickleball and that keeps me active. I've been into making sourdough a lot recently, like sourdough pizza, and that saves us money so that we don't have to eat out. It's fun to do. We can make our own bread, pizza and stuff like that. It's wicked good. Meredith's been getting into making jewelry in the evening because she thinks it's really fun and she can in turn sell that on stuff like Etsy. I think it's kind of turning life into a game and trying to get paid, which is super rewarding for, you know, your hobbies, which they don't all have to pay you, but at least have some benefit come out of them can really make them a lot more fun, at least for me. Tricking myself into having self-discipline. Honestly, it does take a lot of self-control and self-discipline to save money, to start a business, to stay in shape, to eat right. And a lot of people look at some of my lifestyle choices and they think that I'm extremely self-disciplined, and I don't actually see myself that way. I see myself as someone who's kind of lazy, and therefore I have to kind of trick myself into doing the things that I want to do. So I started going to the gym like 9 or 10 years ago, and I've been consistently 3 times a week to the gym for the past 9 years. And because of that, I have pretty much always stayed in pretty good shape. I've always been pretty strong. I've been pretty healthy, and 3 times a week for like 45 minutes is not that big of a commitment. And now I'm actually to the point where I can't stop going to the gym if I want to, because my body will start to ache. I'll start to feel antsy. I'll start to get anxious. So I actually want to go to the gym, where originally I didn't want to go to the gym. But because I started doing it over and over and over again for months, I committed to doing it for like 90 days, did a program, and then I just stuck with it. I made a simple commitment that was easy to stick to, 3 times a week, at least half an hour each time. Pretty simple, and that's pretty easy to maintain. And after a while, it just kind of becomes like who who you are. Because you've done it so many times, your body wants to keep doing it because it wants that habit, it wants that structure. I've done the same thing with eating healthy, where I've tricked myself more or less. Like I know that I'm doing this to myself, but it helps, where like sugar makes me break out, so I don't have sugar like almost at all. And that choice makes saying no to donuts and cake and juice and like random stuff that's not actually that good for you super simple. I can have a little bit every now and then, but like if you cut out sugar for 90 days and then you have it again, it's not going to taste as good. You're going to notice how sluggish it makes you feel and all that stuff. So actually pick something that you want to do, commit to it for a long enough period of time. 90 days, it's short enough that you can actually achieve it, and you can say, yeah, I can suck this up for the next 3 months, and it's not so long that you get discouraged like halfway through. That's what I've done to kind of trick myself into being a disciplined person. Creativity. So this has helped me in my life in so many ways. So even though my stick figures look like they were drawn by a drunk toddler, I still consider myself a pretty creative person in a bunch of areas of life, which I think is a kind of like a minimalist principle. And it's become a habit for me, where it's this idea of doing more with less, right? If there's a common way that most people do something, instead of just following along with it, I ask if there is a more efficient, more productive way that I can do that same thing. And this in turn has saved me and made me a lot of money, and also freed up a ton of time. Like when it comes to any big expense, we kind of assume that there's gotta be a cheaper way to do it. So when we needed a new washer dryer, instead of just going and getting a new washer dryer, we looked for dented and dinged ones. We looked on a couple different places. We found some on Facebook Marketplace that were brand new, but over 50% off of what they would have been if we bought them at the store. And they had little dings on the side, which you don't even see anyways. Meredith does this with her shoes. She's gotten like a bunch of shoes that are like $80 to $150 for about $3 at thrift stores. So it's a way of having really high quality stuff and saving a lot of money at the same time. We also wanted to travel, but we didn't want to screw up our budget, so we looked into travel hacking. I've done a whole video on that, which I'll link down below, but pretty much we've never paid for travel since I discovered that thing, and it doesn't take that much effort, but it does save a lot of time and money. Focusing on less. So most of us have heard that the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. However, most self-made millionaires did not get there through having 7 different jobs at the same time, something that I tried to do because that's what I thought it was. But once I kind of discovered minimalism, I realized that most of those people gained their money through one thing, and then they diversified into other things. And once I realized this, I took all my energy that I was doing on so many different things, and I put it all into one thing, which for me at first was real estate. And then once I stopped, I shifted all of my focus over onto doing YouTube. I think a lot of us try to go an inch deep and a mile wide. Every single opportunity that comes in the door, we take a shot at it, and then after a couple weeks we give up, or we just have so many different things going on at once that we're spread thin. But if you can take all that energy that is spread out and stack it all into one place, go a mile deep in 1 inch, be an expert in your area, that's where kind of exponential growth comes from. And the more successful people that I talk to, I realize that they apply a lot of the principles of minimalism, even if they don't know it. And doing more is not always the answer, but sometimes it's optimizing. It's seeing what you can cut out. It's applying the 80-20 principle to every area of your life, especially your job, finding the areas that make you the most money and just doing those things and trying not to do the rest. I think this is an interesting idea of like, you'll never know if you could have done that thing if you never give it a full shot. Like I think a lot of us wonder, what would happen if I actually gave this 100% of my attention? Would I be able to write that book, to start a social media brand, to start a business, to do whatever it is? What would happen if I gave 100% of my energy and I didn't just give 5% and like, well, I tried that, it didn't really work out. It's because you were spread so thin that you couldn't give it fair shots. You'll never know if that could have been you if you had made those choices. Understanding true wealth. So this is where minimalism has really helped me out a lot. I used to be in this mindset of, I always want more. I want more money. I want a promotion. I need to grow bigger so that, you know, I can get those better clothes, a bigger house, a nicer car, whatever your thing is. And then I started to notice that there are people who make $500,000 a year. Maybe you're like an attorney and they're working 100 hours a week. They're not enjoying their family. They have that huge house, the nice car. They have this lifestyle that seems desirable. But honestly, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. Like, I don't need to have all the money in the world if that means I have to lose a lot of my freedom for it. There's this quote that I love that don't sacrifice what you have for what you don't need. If you have enough to be happy to survive because your expenses are low and your income doesn't rely on you working like constantly, then you don't need to have more. You can be happy with what you have. If it means you're gonna sacrifice your free time, your hobbies, your dreams, your family, in order to have a nicer house and a nicer car because you're making more money, that's not a sacrifice I am willing to make. And I don't think most people should make it, even though it seems to be kind of the American way right now. Instead, I've been really focusing on understanding and pursuing true wealth, which for me has been more freedom. It's options, something that most people don't have. If you want to travel the world, you can, because there's a cheaper way to do it. You don't need the lavish vacations. You can do it pretty cheaply. If you want to stay home, you can do that. If you want a nice place, you can house hack and figure out a way to do that. So really optimizing everything in my life so that I can have time to spend with my families, to work on hobbies that I like, to eat pizza, and really just live a lifestyle that is by design and not by default, so that I can look forward to every Monday morning instead of dreading it. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want up to 12 free stocks, you can check out Webull with the link down in the description.